He was the blueprint of how to become a gangster on TV.
I'm clever than you, Ndosi.
Ngendlela prep akwazi ukuprepha ngayo ukwazi ama lines akho.
You could play the devil in a way that completely seduced you.
I'm Sani Mukhalifi. My friends call me Dumi, and my enemies too.
He said, listen, we are an event to people.
I was diagnosed with kidney failure. I do dialysis 4 times a day. Now I'm discharged at Helen Joseph. It was a Thursday. On Friday, I told the call sheet that I'm working on Monday. As weak as I was, 7 weeks ngihlale esibhedlela, azange ngisho nix.
Veteran actor Menzi Ngubane has passed away. He was 56 years old at the time of death.
Into beyibalekile ukuthi mina ngiye lapha ngisebenze ngaye imali for bona, which is fine.
If you grew up watching South African television in the 90s and early 2000s, then you knew exactly who Menzi Ngubane was. Even if you didn't know his name, you knew his face. The sharp, intent gaze, the deep, commanding voice, the presence that made you believe whatever character he portrayed was a real deal. He was the kind of performer who could walk into a scene and own it before saying a single word. But the story of Menzi Ngubane wasn't just about fame or talent. It was about struggle, resilience, and the complicated relationship between an actor and the roles the industry gave him.
Picky mabelane, low jacking in Bizu Bubble Gum, Mina Ngumazu, MAZWI. So David, ufuna ukhethe ukuthi uzolwa nobani phakathi kwami no Jack. If you win, David, ngiphinde ngihluphe life yakho. But if you lose, divorce uThoko, hambe uyojole next door.
Because in many ways, Menzi Ngubane was a victim of his own brilliance, typecast, misunderstood. And through it all, he made sure that the public never saw him in his weak side. And later he found himself trapped in a system that refused to see him more than anything than the character he played. This is how the South African television abused a brilliant actor that had. Menzi was born in Ladysmith, KwaZulu-Natal in 1964. Like most kids, he grew up in a working class environment. Dreams of becoming an actor weren't exactly encouraged. South Africa was still under apartheid, and there were just few people of color on screen. But Menzi was different. He had something in him. He actually wanted to be a lawyer so he can defend black people that were wrongfully accused. He had fire growing up, and that fire somehow led him to acting in the 1980s.
I wanted to be a lawyer. I remember there was this day I was telling my mother, and I was like, hey, may her soul rest in peace. I said, Mom, I want one day to wear that black gown and see myself in court. And my mom said, the things that I know, my boy, you won't become a lawyer. And I said, why? She said, because we don't have the money. And I said, you are a born actor.
For his breakout role in television, Ngubane played Tshimpi in the Zulu drama series which played on SABC 1 in 1987. The show followed Tshimpi as he hilariously negotiated life as a polygamous man, attempting to pay lobola for his 2 Ndebele wives despite experiencing financial difficulties. Now, back in the days, there were not that many TVs. Maybe in the community of 30 households, only 10 of those houses had them. So neighbors would pile up in these houses just to see their superstars on screens. And Menzi Ngubane happened to be one of those superstars. A year later, Menzi Ngubane landed the role of Mazwi in Ubambo Lwami. And trust me, that's when everything changed for him. If Explosive was personified as a character, it would be certainly Ngubane.
Ngaki? 2. Good boy.
Phela lesitoro lesi ndo say hey sihle kahle kuhle ngoba uyazi unkoleta malini into sangithi right shaya itafula ngizama uzovakasha la
ayikho imali akukho mali broke bank broke uzomhlanyela wena.
Needless to say, countless scenes from his shows became an entire memes, which really bears the testament to the cultural impact that Ngubane had in the particular performance. Fast forward to 1999, South Africa was finding its feet in the new thing called democracy. For the first time, more black households had electricity. TVs were becoming the part of the furniture. And that came something powerful: representation. Seeing black faces on screen wasn't just entertainment, it was a revolution. It didn't matter if you were on a drama series, a music video, or just smiling in a toothpaste advert. If you were on TV, you were that guy. You were someone your neighbors could brag about. The show was set in a fictitious township, Substella High School, and follows the lives of both students and teachers as the school is terrorized by the violent dropouts and his friends. Ngubane played the role of Elliot, a charismatic teacher who is undeniable villains that make sexual advances towards his students. Kazlami was another production developed during South Africa's golden era of television. The show focused on life in the low-income suburb with themes such as love, sex, relationships, and betrayals. Ngubane played the role of Jerome, a class fellow with little regard for the most. This was perhaps his first true role as an actual true villain of the story. A year later, he starred on a film called In My Country alongside Samuel L. Jackson. Yeah, I know, you might don't know this film, although it had Samuel L. Jackson, who is the biggest Hollywood actor, but this movie became a flop. Now, because this movie had international cast members together with the studios, it was meant to bring his name to Hollywood. However, that didn't happen. Instead, the movie did not even perform that good.
Dummy, so why is she crying and they're not?
It's not a surprise to us, Langston. We did our crying years ago.
In My Country is the film that delves into South Africa's Truth and Reconciliation Commission hearings. While the film's intentions were commendable, aiming to shed the light on a pivotal period in South African history, it received mixed reaction both locally and internationally. Critics pointed out the inclusion of romantic subplots between the main characters overshadowed the film's central theme of reconciliation. One review asked, "Is it a docudrama about South Africans post-apartheid Truth and Reconciliation Commission hearings, or is it a love story?" The problem about the film is that it tries to be both. Another one stated, "The gripping material is giving short thrift into favor of routine melodrama, and a love story that has nearly nothing to do with what should be the crux of the story." Also, another one stated that there is a great material here and ample food for thought, but the presentation is lacking. Similarly, the Washington Post described the film as a formula romance, suggesting that the character portrays actually lack credibility. Despite these critiques, the film did find appreciation among certain audiences, and that was because of its portrayal of TRC's efforts. However, specific details regarding its reception among South Africa's masses are limited. It's plausible that the local audience had varied reactions, influenced by personal connection to the TRC's work and the nation's journey towards healing.
You make the subject get undressed.
Everything off?
Yes, sir. They must be naked. You attach wires to the subject. You pour water over them. Water is a good conductor of electricity.
He tied my genital parts. He! It was him! My body was turned to be completely useless. That which the machine took away from me. The nigga budoda bami, man.
He wants his manhood back.
As much as that took a toll on him, the only chance he had to introduce himself to overseas audience, he also had some good opportunities waiting for him. On top of that, he was already playing on Generation The Legacy, which he joined back in 2003. He was playing a role of Sibusiso Dlomo, an arch rival to the Morocco's family. Ngubane's character brought incredible drama in the soapy. Till today, people still refer him as Sibusiso Dlomo even years after the show. In 2011, he appeared on How to Steal 2 Million. which was a smash hit. Fast forward to 2016, he appeared on Inspire as Ngwenya, again taking a role of a villain, which somehow was a problem. For Menzi Ngubane, being typecast as a villain was like being trapped in a role he never auditioned for. But after a while, it wasn't just acting. It became a box he couldn't escape. Directors wanted the same intimidating presence, and the audience expected nothing less. The problem is that Menzi was more than a villain, but the industry kept him in shadows of crime lords and kingpins, never giving him the space to be a hero, the lover, or the dreamer. And for an actor with his talent, that wasn't just limiting, it was tragedy. He lived by the gun and dies by the gun. And he actually never showed how bad he feels about that to the public. The public loved the role he played, but he didn't like it the way the public did. However, that just changed in 2017. He got to put this gangster persona aside. In Ashes to Ashes, we saw another side of him we never thought we would see. He got a role of being an upstanding police officer, Detective Nkonzo. The show itself is about the business of funerals with wealthy names who are harboring a dark secret, and at the center of that plot, Menzi Ngubane stars alongside a number of his co-stars from Generation The Legacy in what it described as family reunion.
Detective Nkonzo is this kind of a cop who doesn't take no bribes, nothing. He's a straightforward cop, goes by the book. He goes and investigates, come up with the answers. If there's the arrest that he has to make, he goes for it.
Ngubane's final role is in the feature film called Red Cargo. The film was interrupted by COVID-19. He really fought to stay on top, but his body was telling him otherwise. On March 13, 2021, South Africa woke up to the heartbreaking news that Menzi Ngubane had passed away at the age of 56.
Veteran actor Menzi Ngubane has passed away. He was 56 years old at the time of death. Between 2010 and 2015, he suffered from kidney failure, which resulted in him being placed on a recipients list, and ultimately he did receive a donor.
His passing wasn't an easy thing to swallow. Clips of him complaining about being unfairly treated by the industry started circulating. He wasn't paid enough. He wasn't respected by the directors. He was being typecasted, and mostly they commanded him to act even though he was sick.
Umfundi came to Helen Joseph. Ezengibona ehamba no Frederick Stark behamba no Costa.
When his health tried to take him down, his story is a reminder of what happens when talents meet struggle, when brilliance comes at cost. Menzi Ngubane never got the full recognition he deserved while he was alive. But legends never really die. And for as long as South African television exists, Menzi Ngubane's name will always be spoken with respect.
If there's one thing engayifunda mina kuba Menzi mfethu is that, ukuthi there's nothing wrong ukwakha into beyond less kuyakhiwe la iphepheni.
Work hours, yeah.
Engithi kwamina leo kind of mentorship kaBaba Ngubane, because Baba Ngubane mfethu I remember ngitshela ukuthi ndiyabona mina ndodana ungangiboni ngiprepared kanje, because I think sekenezwa ukuthi ngendlela prep akwazi ukuprepha ngayo ukwazi ama lines akho.
I can speak primarily on Menzi.
Yeah.
Menzi, we shared a great many years together. Not only were we working adjacent to each other, where he was working on Generations and I was working on Istingo, literally in the same passageways.
Yeah.
But also we had worked together on shows like on Kazlam,
yes,
where I had worked as a director and he was an actor, and he really was a gregarious, generous soul. Lots of laughter. He was, incredibly professional. His thing was he was always unsatisfied. It can be better. Let's push it. Let's get it better. He incredibly dedicated to his art.
He came into my office, and it was after Yizo 1, and he said, if there's a Yizo 2, I have to be in it. So when Yizo 2 came along, we organized an audition, and he auditioned for this teacher that was having a relationship with one of his young students. And he did one audition, and I looked at it, and I was clear, he was the man.
umenzi ubeyathi uma engithakazelela ngoba singathi ngibona ubaba owangishiya ubesuka estudio ayesethini esebhubesini eseqedile ukusebenza athi ngane yakwethu ngize kuwena bengizothi nje noma somashi ukumani waze wangifuza insana ezinye ithakazele bengingazazi besethi sengiyahamba ngengane yakwethu sengiqedile bengizobona wena nje kuphela.
I have one particular memory that I remember. Menzi was on the phone and having quite a serious conversation. And it sounded like he was getting a little bit of bad news on the phone. And at the same time, he walked past a group of youngsters who instantly recognized him and started screaming his name. And I remember him putting his own personal life aside and realizing that this was a fleeting moment or a rare moment for these kids. And so he put his life aside and he was incredibly welcoming and, generous with those people, and he engaged them and then went about his life. And later I asked him about it. And he said, listen, we are an event to people. When people come across a Menzi Ngubane, that's something that they can tell for a long, long, long time.
Yeah.